everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. 2,500 point battle. 'Tis I, Lord Tremendous of the Ogre Khans, versus Ray-Ban of the Empire of Sonstal. I'm going to say it like that because I like the way it sounds. I haven't played him in a little while. We just haven't been able to get together and get the games. I've seen him a lot. We don't get a chance to play that often. But we finally got to sit down and beat the crap out of each other. And it's a really good game. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes. Here's my list, and it's pretty much the same. There's a couple of changes, nothing big. I still got my great shaman, Kaka Shabadu, who's a level 3 wizard with a demon heart, talisman of greater shielding, and using the path of butchery. I have my hero choices. I still have my Khan. He's my BSB. He's got the flesh render, the mithril mail, and the talisman of lesser shielding. I did drop Rotten Jaw off of him. And then I've got my Shaman, the Combustor. He's a level 2 wizard with Skull Splitter and the Path of Fire. And then the man of the list, my Mammoth Hunter, Lord Tremendous. He's got his Ogre Crossbow, the Heart Ripper, Yeti Furs, Gemma Dragonfire, Troll Eater, and he's on his trusty Tusker the War Teddy. God, I love this guy. My core choices have stayed the same. I still have a unit of 7 by Tribesmen, the good old boys with Banner, Musician, Iron Fist, and Heavy Armor. My unit of 5 Tribesmen, the Inner Council, with Banner, Musician, Iron Fist, Heavy Armor, and the Banner of Discipline. And of course, I still have my 4 by Bruisers, the dour ones, and man, these guys got it rough. For my special choices, I have my 5 by unit of Scrapling Trappers, the Favored Pets. My Face Melter unit, the 6 by Mercenary Veterans, the Storm of Retribution. They've got a Banner, Musician, Iron Fist, Lethal Strike, Thunderous Charge, and the Banner O Speed. And then, of course, I've got my Kin Eater, Lady Elizabeth. She's a badass. In my rare choices, I'm bringing back some oldies but goodies. I have my Scratapult. I kind of missed the little support guy. I wanted to see if I was still as accurate with him as I was before. I have my Slave Giant, which I'm also excited about because he's been really good to me lately. And then, of course, I have the Frost Mammoth, Rufus! With a couple of Ogre Crossbows strapped to his back. Screw the riders. It's all about Rufus. Alright, that's going to do it for my list. Next up is my opponent's list. Going to play some music. Feel free to pause it anytime you want to see what he's got. Alrighty, here are my spells, which are exactly what you're looking at. And here's deployment. For the most part, I just kind of set down across the middle. You know my play style. I throw everything in the middle, and I'm ready to kick your face in. That's really what I'm doing. I mean, I'm ogres. We're pretty two-dimensional. Maybe 2.5. I'm not really sure. I've got the Combustor on the left side there. He's just in the ruins for the hard cover. And to back up the... what's it called? The trappers that are in the forest right up there. I scouted them in the forest, so that's nice and trapped now. And then I've got the meat of my army in the middle. I got both units of tribesmen with my Khan and my great shaman in there. I got Rufus in the middle to give everyone that -3 initiative if they get into combat. I got the Merc Vets on the right side. I got Tremendous on the very far end there. And then on my right flank, I've got my Bruisers, my Giant, and my Scratapult. And the Scratapult's just going to take out as many 20 mil bases as he can. The Bruisers and the Giant are going to go up. I'm hoping he shoots at the Bruisers and leaves the Giant alone. And then hopefully the Giant will get into, the little handgunners up there on the right flank and just work his way down. Trappers will be able to take care of his crossbowmen and his rioters or whatever they are. And then, of course, I'm hoping that everything in the middle can deal with everything in his middle. That was what I was thinking when I deployed. I mean, I don't think a whole lot. It hurts. Here's my opponent's right flank. From left to right, there's his rioters, and then there's a unit of crossbow guys. Here's my opponent's center. From left to right, I believe he's got the greatsword guys on the left with the preacher and the general in there. Then he's got this halberdier unit, a big old unit right there with his BSB, his wizard, and possibly one other character in there somewhere. I do not remember. Then, of course, his steam tank, if you couldn't tell. And here's my opponent's left flank. He's got 2 mortars and a volley gun on that hill with his little engineer guy behind him. And then he's got 2 unit of handgunners, and he's got that little captain on a Pegasus just hidden behind the house there. Here's my right flank. I got my Slave Giant, I got my Scratapult, and I got my Dour ones. Here's my center. From right to left, Lord Tremendous, the Merc Vets, Rufus! My tribesman with my BSB, and my other tribesman with my Great Shaman. And my left flank, which consists of the Combustor and, of course, my Trappers. Here's top of 1 after movement, and as you see, I got to go first, because I finished deploying first, because I'm awesome. My Trappers move over to the left there to go after the Riders, because I want them dead yesterday. Everything moves up forward. I know he's probably movement 5 at best, so I'm not really concerned about him charging me. Okay, that's not entirely true. I'm a little concerned about him charging me, but I have the advantage being 1 or 2 inches in movement higher than him, so I'm going to use that. Rufus just moves up 6 inches so he can shoot, because I want to put some damage on that tank. Tremendous does the same thing. The Merc Vets move up around 7 inches or so. I didn't want to get too, more than 7 inches, but they move up not quite as far as the tribesmen, because I was trying to pull out some charges at the Merc Vets so that I could countercharge. It was a gamble. I like to gamble, just not with money. On the right flank, the Dour ones and the Slave Giant, they go full tilt and get up there as fast as they can, and the Scratapult just starts lining up a shot. Same with the Combustor, just stays in the ruins because his job isn't to move forward. During the magic phase, I throw regen on Rufus just because he's got a lot of war machines and Rufus doesn't have a save, really. I mean, he's got a 4-up, but against his mortars and his volley gun and his steam tank, I mean, provided none of them are flaming, at least now he's got a 50-50. So we go into the shooting phase, and the Scratapult lines up a beautiful shot on the halberdiers, fires, hits, but misfires. Yeah, fresh off the shelf and already pissing me off. So yeah, he misfires 2, which means he can't shoot for the rest of the damn game. Top of 1, and he's a chariot, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's better than most war machines would get or anything else, but kind of pisses me off a little bit. Not even gonna lie to you. Not thrilled with the Scratapult right now. Then over here in shooting, at least this went well. The combined shots of the Combustor and the Trappers killed all but 1 Rioter. He does make his panic check, but now there's only 1 instead of the 5 there were before. So I feel a lot better about the unit. So that's all I could do, so we go over to bottom of 1 after movement, and my opponent doesn't move hardly at all. He's well aware of what I'm trying to do. His Rider moves up to take some pot shots at the Combustor. His Captain on a Pegasus moves up on my right flank to harass the Giant. I think his overall goal at this point, I mean, I know what his goal is now, I play the game, but I think at this point that his goal is either to charge and attack my Giant or go after my Scratapult. I don't believe he cares about the Dour ones at all. He's played me enough to know that they're just chaff. But nothing else moves. His tank doesn't move. None of his infantry move. Everything else just sits still and gets ready to shoot and magic me, which makes me a little nervous, I won't lie. So during his shooting phase, because nothing happens in his magic phase, I'm able to just stop it cold. He fires this mortar. It would a direct hit on my Merc Vets, and instead he misfires 5. which, he owed me one, and he gets to try again next turn. At least I had the decency of misfiring too, making it so that I'm not going to misfire, or I'm not going to shoot with mine anymore at all. So he has kind of manners, not good manners. The other mortar, on the other hand, fires, hits, and it deviates a little bit, but it's still able to do a couple of wounds to my Merc Vets, which sucks. I'm not even going to lie, it hurt my feelings a little bit. Then over here, being the gentleman that he is, he fires with his cannon into Rufus and misfires 5 yet again, twice in one shooting phase. My opponent's dice love me. They really do. They really do, and I appreciate them. However, his crossbowmen, they fire at my inner council and are able to do exactly 3 wounds to them, dropping one of my guys, which, yeah, that could have been a lot worse, but it's still, I hate it when I lose my tribes, especially the cool ones, you know? And then right here, the combined shooting of his handgunner units, both of them, were able to do 2 wounds to my bruisers. So, not overly impressive. I know it's just, because of his dice rolls and stuff like that, but I'm thrilled. Now they get to be a little bit closer, and they're soaking up shots, which it's what I really want them to do. And then this guy on his Pegasus was able to put a wound through on my Giant. He's just got a little pistola, but he's pretty good with it. So we go over here to top of 2 after movement, and I creep up a few inches for the most part. I'm just thinking, you know what, I don't want to charge yet. I was a little further out than I wanted to be. I think like 13 inches in some cases, which is still a long-ass charge for me. Well, I shouldn't say long, but if I fail it, I was going to end up moving, if I went any further than 3 inches, I was not going to be comfortable with it. So I move everything up so that it looks like, and I just eyeball it. I didn't want him to know for sure. I know he can pre-measure, but I was trying to be sneaky. I'm not very good at it. But yeah, everything moves up to be about 9 to 11 inches away from everything of his, give or take. So I'm hoping that he charges and he makes some failed charges and I'm able to countercharge next turn. That's the hope. The bruisers on my right flank, they move up as fast as they can. My Giant only moves up 6 inches, however, because he failed his march test, because the little flappy dude, his captain on a Pegasus, was within 8 inches of me, and I couldn't march. I failed my march test, so bummer. Meanwhile, my trappers move up in the forest to shoot at the crossbowmen because I want as many of them dead as possible. And the combustor moves out of the charge arc of the riders so he can shoot and magic that thing, hopefully to death, this turn. And since my Scratapult on the right flank is no longer viable as a shooty thing, I'm moving it up his full 6 inches as fast as I can to try to get into this fight. That's about it for movement. Oh, no, I was wrong. I'm sorry. The Merc Vets did try to charge the steam tank and failed. Failed quite spectacularly, too. It wasn't even close. So that's where they ended up. My bad. During the magic phase, since I have a bad feeling that the Merc Vets are about to catch a lot of attention, I get regen off on them, so it gives them a little extra. I like that spell. Unfortunately, in order to facilitate that regen spell, I had to overwhelming power it, and I end up miscasting 7. Yeah, the results of which shows another tribesman face down in the dirt. Kinda did this one to myself, but I don't regret the regen, so I guess it's more pricey than I wanted, but I'm just whining. So with that being it for magic, we go over here into shooting, and Lord Tremendous puts a Ogre Crossbolt right through the window of the steam tank and does a wound. I was very pleased. And then my trappers throw a bunch of weapons and apples and probably pots and pans at the crossbow guys and are able to kill 2. They actually did 3 wounds, but they have light armor and they were able to make 1 save, which is just unfortunate. But I'll take 2. So we go over here to bottom of 2 after movement, and once again, my luck rather than my skill wins out. His greatsword unit charges my inner council and fails, misses by like 2 inches. His halberdier unit charges my good old boys and fails literally by half an inch. His steam tank charges my Merc Vets and fails literally by an inch. I mean, are you noticing a pattern? And then his rider moves over to harass my inner council. Now they're not going to be in combat. I don't believe his crossbow guys moved at all. And his captain on the Pegasus on the right flank runs over to harass my Scratapult. And I'm fine with that. It failed me. It deserves to be punished. Other than that, like, his war machines don't move. His handgunners don't need to move. So it's just mass hysteria. Good turn for me. There's a better picture of his steam tank and his halberdiers failing their charges, which is yay! And there's a better picture of his greatsword guys failing their charge into my inner council, which is also yay! My luck starts running out, though. His magic phase doesn't do anything of note, so we go into shooting, and his mortar direct hits on top of my tribesmen, which kind of sucks. And once the smoke clears, he ends up doing a total of 5 wounds to my unit, which is not as bad as it could have been, but it dropped a guy, and there's another one just waiting to fall down. Not great when I got a huge unit of halberdiers, growling at me. Over here, though, holy God, his crossbow guys and his rider are able to drop 2 of my tribesmen and take the other one down to down to 1 wound to put 2. So he does a total of 8 wounds into combined 2 shooting. That sucks. And then I don't remember if it's a rider or what it is. Something is able to slip the last wound through onto my tribes. It might have been his crossbowman that did the 8 wounds, and then his rider just picked up the spare. Ugh, my entire unit gets wiped by shooting. And then to make things even better, my general fails his re-rollable panic check at an 8 and flees 25% casualties from the source, so it was the rider, right in the way of my tribesmen. So their countercharge into the halberdiers is now not going to happen. Awesome. Hey, when it rains, it pours, right? So now I've got to scramble and figure out what I'm going to do. And then over here, the combined shooting of the handgunners takes out 3 of my bruisers, leaving the 1 survivor bleeding from a hole in his chest that was not there a moment ago. So I don't know what happened in 1 round, but his shooting has really amped up. Watching 3 of his buddies die just like that was too much for the 1 survivor, and he fails his panic check and flees. But I think his misfire dice, or his dice, understood my pain, because he rolls for the amount of shots on his volley gun and rolls 2 6s, as you can see here, which means misfire, which probably saved Lord Tremendous' life. I'm not going to lie to you. But with the consistency of a clock, he rolls another misfire 5, and he just can't shoot this turn. So, damn, when he misfires, he knows exactly how to do it. And then Hawkeye over here is able to put a wound through on my Scratapult. Nothing I could do about it. So here we go to top of 3 after moving. And what should have been glorious charges have now been, it's like 1 glorious charge and some rallies, and there's a few charges. So my giant charges the rightmost unit of handgunners and makes it. They do stand and shoot, they don't do anything to them. My bruiser actually rallies, if you can believe it. Even at half leadership, he made it. Elizabeth came on the table last turn and charges the mortar on the right. Tremendous charges through the water and gets the volley gun that failed to shoot last turn. He does take a wound of dangerous terrain going through the water. I'm pretty sure that's right. I might not be. But he took a wound. That's what it's there for. The Merc Vets charge the steam tank, and now that it's only an inch away, they make it, which is good. It's only an inch away because I rolled a 3. I was rolling low. What can I tell you? I was able to rally my general, which is good, but that just means he's either going to flee from the charge from the halberdiers next turn or die horrifically when they charge him. So I'm debating that right now. My tribesmen with the BSB, they back up a little bit just to make it a harder charge for the halberdiers. Here's to hoping. And my Scrapling trappers, they stay put, and the combustor moves up to take yet another pot shot at the rider that he failed to shoot and kill last turn. So, interesting movement phase. There's a better picture of my giant making his charge, Elizabeth making hers, and Tremendous making his. And there's a better picture of my Merc Vets making their charge. My general rallied, and that's the way he ended up, just because I'm going to have to flee with him if they get charged, or if they charge him. So we go into the magic phase, and I go ahead and I had 5 dice on my magic phase, that was it, and I took all 5 dice, and I threw them at burning ramparts from the combustor onto the halberdier unit. It was the only hope I had in order to stop him from charging me, and if he did charge me, maybe failing a panic check. It was unlikely, but I figured I'd go for it, and I was able to actually get it off. I was very pleased. I even do a little damage to him thanks to Raging Fire. And then Rufus, who stood still this turn, fires both crossbolts at the halberdiers and hits with both. And after going through the ranks, I believe he's able to do 8 wounds. Or maybe it was like 6 wounds, and the Burning Ramparts, the Raging Fire lore attribute, was able to do a couple. But in total, 8 of these guys are dead, which is a really good start. So we go into combat, and my giant obliterates all but 2 of the handgunners, which is awesome with what's it called, his attacks. I think he got the 2d6 attacks, and then of course Thunderstomp was really good. So yeah, just 2 handgunners are left alive. They auto break, and I'm able to restrain pursuit with my giant. I turn him to face the other unit of handgunners, who take a panic check for unit destroyed within 6 or unit broke within 6, and they fail, but they only failed like 3 inches, and they ended up right where they're at. So that's good. That's good. The handgunners for right now are under thumb. Oh, and it looks like my giant took another wound during that combat. Sorry. Then over here, Elizabeth is able to just destroy the mortar crew, which takes one out of action, which is awesome. And then Lord Tremendous does the same. He destroys the crew of the volley gun, which is also awesome. Something I failed to mention, when Elizabeth killed the mortar crew, the engineer, captain engineer, whatever the hell he's called, he failed his panic check and fled directly away from her. So he didn't flee far, though, like 3-4 inches, and that's where he ended up. But at least he's fleeing. That's something. And then over here in combat against the steam tank, as you can see, my mercenary vets were able to destroy it. They did lose a guy for their trouble, but I'll trade 1 merc vet for a steam tank any day. Very pleased with this unit. So after that combat, I toyed with the idea of overrunning, because it honestly was a pretty easy overrun to make. But I decided against it at the last minute because his halberdier unit is in a really good spot. I got Lord Tremendous ready to charge him in the flank. I got the merc vets near him. I got the tribesmen near him. I got Rufus ready to go. It would benefit me more if he moved at all with his halberdier unit, because with Burning Ramparts off, everything's going to take a strength 4 flaming hit, and I don't believe they have anything to deal with that. So it was just too good of a setup for me to mess up with a charge, even though it would have been a devastating charge. So we go over here, bottom of 3 after movement, and he actually charged me with his great sword guys into the tribesmen. I didn't see that. I didn't think he would make it. It was a long charge. But yeah, he nailed it. Knocked it out of the park, no problem. His rider guy, he goes into the forest to harass my trappers, and I can't blame him because I keep failing to hit and wound him with the combustor. It's driving me crazy. His, what's it called? Crossbow guys, they don't move or do anything. His handgunners are able to rally. His engineer does not rally. And his captain on a Pegasus charges the rear to Scratapult. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that because the Scratapult failed me and deserves to be punished. That's pretty much it for movement. There's a better picture of an excellent charge of my opponent's great swords into my unit. And there's a better picture of his captain on a Pegasus slamming into my Scratapult. And there's a better picture of his handgunners rallying, which really just saves me the pain of having to chase him down. And there's a better picture of his engineer continuing to flee! During his magic phase, he dispels ramparts, which was smart. And then his mortar shoots and direct hits, more or less. I think he hit 4 of my merc vets. He didn't direct hit, but it was a pretty solid hit. Hits 4 of my merc vets. And ends up doing exactly 3 wounds after all is said and done. So yeah, he kills one of my merc vets, and that hurts my feelings. And then the combined shooting of the crossbow guys and the rider kills one of the trappers. So being skirmishers in soft cover really helped. Not that they got it against the rider, but against the crossbow guys, that really helped a lot. So lost 1, still got 4. In combat over here, I cannot remember if how many wounds he did. I know I didn't do anything to him. The Scratapult has got 2 wounds. He got charged. He's got a rear. It's all bad. I lose this combat, I think, by like 5. And I break, I flee, I get away. By a significant margin. And not bad, not bad. But I hit the damn water terrain. I have to take the dangerous terrain checks for the chariot, and I take 2 more wounds. So he's only got 1 left, and if he doesn't rally next turn, I'm going to have to take another one. So yeah, the Scratapult is about the worst model on the table right now. And then in this combat, I get my ass kicked pretty good. As you can see, I've got some tribesmen left, but he's got most of his guys left. I directed my attacks mainly on his characters. I was able to take out his little priesty dude before he was able to do anything, preacher, whatever the hell he was, which was great because they lost hatred. And then I was able to do a wound onto his general, but I lost a lot of guys because of it. I lose this combat, but only by like 3, and I make my break check thanks to the VSB still being alive. So that bought me a little bit of time, but honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do about the tribesmen. I think I'm just going to chalk them up to a loss. So here we are at top of 4 after movement, and I go in. My Merc Vets, my General, and Lord Tremendous all slam into the Halberdier unit. I have to send my General in so that the Merc Vets can get in. Lord Tremendous is going in because he ain't sitting around waiting. Elizabeth charges the final mortar to kill that thing off before it kills any more of my stuff. My Bruiser... Okay, here's what an idiot I am. My Giant charges into the flank of the handgunners and is going to make it no problem. Then, without thinking about it, I charge with my Bruiser, and my opponent goes, stand and shoot, and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. So, needless to say, the Bruiser got shot to pieces, so I literally gave him the points for that unit. Stupid move on my part. My Scratapult fails to rally, flees, takes more dangerous terrain, and dies, because I don't even know what happened to that damn thing. Rufus can't make it into the Halberdier charge, and so I don't even bother trying. I just move him up slightly so that he slows down. I move him up like an inch or two. I'm like, oh, I'm going to slow down the Great Sword unit. That's stupid. I'm not going to do anything to sort. So I just kind of left him where he was, take pot shots at maybe the engineer or something like that. There's just no purpose in moving him up that I could see, because I didn't want his captain on the Pegasus to flank charge Rufus and kill him or break him due to combat res. Other than that, that's pretty much it for movement. There's a better picture of this combat, and honestly, yeah, I know it's going to be a rough fight, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's a better picture of the Giant slamming into the handgunners that tried to get away. Didn't run fast enough. And there's a better picture of Elizabeth slamming into the final mortar and taking War Machine Hill, which I'm very pleased about. And the train wreck here. My Scratapult exploding thanks to dangerous terrain, and my Bruiser exploding thanks to a stupid charge. During the magic phase, I think I'm being clever, and I get regen off on my unit. My opponent didn't even try to stop it. Why didn't he try to stop it? Because the flaming standard is in that unit. So, yay, regen! But wait, it gets better. In order to cast the spell, I got it off with Overwhelming Power, which is outstanding. I threw 3 dice at it, rolled 2 6s and a 3. My opponent lets it go because it's useless, because his Greatsword unit has the Flaming Standard, and then I end up rolling a miscast 4. So honestly, at first I was like, oh crap, but I realized that the big template is going to hit way more of his little 20mm guys than is going to hit me. And no, that isn't a great spot for the little thing to be. That was just for the picture. It's back more. Anyway, it hits a ton of his guys. It hits a couple of my mercs. It hits my character, obviously. But I only cast it on 3 dice, so it's not like my caster's going to get pulled into the warp or anything like that. And in the end, after the dust settles, 15 halberdiers are dead. Strength 5. It was a beautiful thing. My character doesn't even get hurt. He wasn't able to wound him. My Merc Vets, I think I lose 1, and that's really it. I mean, really, that miscast couldn't have been any better for me. So, just better to be lucky than good, right? And then finally, the Combustor is able to put down the last Rioter or whatever with his Skull Splitter. I was very pleased about that, because I've been shooting at the damn thing for 3 rounds without putting a wound on him. It's about damn time. Then over here, I don't know what the hell these guys were doing, but my trappers they're throwing weapons at the crossbow guys and kill 4 of them. I was just like, what the f***? It wasn't enough to force the panic check by 1, but I expected maybe 1 guy, 2 at the most, to drop 4. Trappers are amazing. Then we go into combat, and my Slave Giant has a little deja vu, kills all but 2 of the handgunners. Kind of like what he did with the first unit. they auto-break, and I end up running them down. And then we go over to this combat over here, and yeah, it wasn't difficult. I hate to be like that, but 15 attacks from my Merc Vets. The Lord Tremendous lowered their initiative by 1, so I was able to pretty much go first with my Merc Vets and Lord Tremendous. Everything else went second, the Tusker and the character, my Great Shaman. And in the end, I think his BSB was left. He lost by a ton, and he broke, and he got ran down. It was pretty brutal. And I pretty much have to give it all to the 15 deaths caused by the miscast. Over here, things don't go quite as good. Oh, God. I get beat up pretty bad. 3 tribesmen get destroyed, mostly because regen doesn't work when the swords are on fire. Their attack really didn't do a lot. I think I killed like 5, maybe 6 greatswords. However, my BSB was able to kill his general. That flesh render thing, man. You would think at strength 7, 1 more negative to your armor isn't really going to make or break anything, but it was huge. And yeah, my BSB directed all his attacks into his general and killed him. That was the good thing. However, I lose this combat. And then I break and I get run down. So there was a lot of good in this combat, but there was a lot of bad as well. My general and Rufus needed to take a panic check, and they both made them, thank God. Barely. Both of them rolled 8s. But yeah, I lost my tribesman and my BSB. So kind of a good trade. I did get his general and his big unit halberdiers and his BSB, but I mean, I just lost a lot of points too, so I think we're more on par than anything else. And then over here, Elizabeth has dealt with War Machine Hill. And I apologize, I was wrong. As you can see, the handgunners did get away, and they're fleeing. So, my bad. So we go over here to bottom of 4 after movement, and for the most part, his greatsword guys turn to face Rufus, because I know he wants to take him out. And his handgunners continue to flee, his engineer continues to flee, and his crossbow guys just stand still because they're going to try to take out my trappers because they're the closest threat. That's about it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not it at all. His paladin on a peg in the shooting phase, he moved up in the movement phase right next to my giant, and in the shooting phase he was able to slip another wound through with his pistola into my giant. And not a bad shot. Over here in the shooting phase, his crossbow guys have had enough of my trappers and hit and wound like multiple times, enough to kill all 4 of them, and there's nothing I can do about that. That was impressive shooting. That was it for his turn, so we go over to the top of 5 after movement, and Lord Tremendous charges his engineer, and he goes off the table. Elizabeth charges the handgun... No, maybe it was Elizabeth. Somebody charges the handgunners, and they continue to flee and get away. My mercenary vets just flip around. I tried to do a swift reform, and I failed my leadership, and I do not get any rerolls because my BSB is in the dirt right now. What else? The Combustor moves over to take some pot shots at the greatswords. The Shaman does the same thing, and my Giant moves out of the way so that he can't be rear charged by his captain on a Pegasus. That's kind of it. Rufus did march to get out of the charge arc of the greatswords, and yeah, that's about it. There's a better picture of Lord Tremendous chasing the engineer off the table and Elizabeth chasing the handgunners further down the table. During the magic phase, I get Bone Crusher off on the, crossbow guys, and I do a significant amount of wounds. I think 5 or 6 of them die. I did the bigger one, the strength 3 one, so I needed 4s to wound, and it was pretty savage. I was quite pleased. In fact, the attack was so brutal that the crossbow guys failed their panic check and fled like 5 or 6 inches away from my general. So that was even better. And then for my final trick in the magic phase, I was able to get Burning Ramparts off on the greatswords guys. It was more of a deterrent than anything else. Over here, this was a mistake. This shouldn't have happened. I realized it just now, actually, after looking at the slide. Rufus marched, so he should not have been able to shoot, but he did. He shot and he wounded, and he kills like 6 or 7 of the greatswords guys. That's completely my fault. I should not have been able to shoot. I don't know what I was thinking about. This is bad. So we go over here to bottom of 5 after movement, and my opponent doesn't care anymore. he goes ahead and he shifts his whole unit of greatsword guys to face Rufus, and loses a decent amount for his trouble. Burning Ramparts goes off and causes a lot of damage. His crossbow guys rally, and his handgunners continue to flee. Also, his Captain on Pegasus charges Elizabeth in the rear. Other than that, everything else he has is dead. So, yeah, that's the end of the movement. There's a better picture of his Captain on a Pegasus charging Elizabeth, and she's unbreakable, but that could be really bad. So there's a better picture of what his greatswords look like after Burning Ramparts goes off. It did significant damage to him. However, there should be 6 or 7 more guys on that damn tray right now. I can't believe I screwed up that march and shoot thing with Rufus, but... honestly, overall, it probably wasn't going to change the overall outcome of the game, but I still hate it when I make mistakes like that. During my opponent's magic phase, he dispels ramparts, which was smart. And then we go into combat, and it is a massive butterfly kiss fest. He does nothing to Elizabeth. Elizabeth does nothing to him. So they they don't stalemate. He's got charge and a rear to my nothing. So he wins combat, but Elizabeth is unbreakable. And when I go to roll my leadership test to try to turn and face him, I fail. So this is exactly where we're at. So here we are in top of 6 after movement, and there's charges. There's lots of charges. Lord Tremendous comes back on the table, moves towards the crossbow guys. Shoot, I do not remember who charges the handgunners, but they flee further through that rock. That could have happened during his turn last time. He did lose one for dangerous terrain, but there's still one guy left. Everything kind of starts moving up towards his crossbow guys, because that's really the only target left, and Rufus charges into the greatsword guys, because why the hell not? Also, my giant charges into the rear of his Pegasus captain guy, just because, again, why not? There's a better picture of Rufus slamming into the greatswords, and that should go interesting. And there's a better picture of my giant slamming into the back of the Pegasus captain dude. During the magic phase, I get the big 3d6 fireball off on the crossbow guys, and with Raging Fire, the lore attribute, I kill all but 2 of them, and then my general cleans off the last 2 with a Bone Crusher that is able to finish off the unit. Combat over here isn't quite as devastating as I thought it was going to be. I ended up killing 4 of his greatswords. They ended up slipping a wound back on me, so charge plus 4 minus a wound, then a banner. He loses by 3. They are stubborn, but his dice love me, and they break, but they do get away. I don't have a picture of it because I'm an idiot, but yeah, they do get away by a lot. Then over here in combat, again, it really doesn't go my way. I think I'm able to slip a wound through on the captain, but he puts like 2 on my giant. So I think I win by 1 or something like that. Or no, I lose. I lose this combat again because I try to roll to have Elizabeth turn to face him, and I fail. So, I mean, the giant stays because he's stubborn, but damn, that captain's tough. So we go over here to bottom of 6 after movement. The greatsword guys fail to rally. They continue to flee. And the handgunner guy in the top left corner there, he fails to rally as well, and he continues to flee. That is it. We go straight into combat, and wouldn't you believe it, it's another massive flub. My giant does the initiative thing or something like that, and I forget I can re-roll it, and he makes his initiative test or something along those lines. He doesn't do anything to the giant. I don't do anything back. It's a giant flub fest, and we all stay right there. But that's it. That's the end of the game right there. That's what the board looks like. And man, what a game. It looks like I won, but the victory party is going to be woefully small. Really, really good game. And we'll get to the recap in a second, because right now I need a break, and you guys need to listen to Captain Picard.
Make it so.
So in the end, it was a victory for Lord Tremendous. I ended up getting 2,641 out of him. He got 1,159 out of me for a difference of 1,482. I ended up losing my Con, my good old boys, my inner council, my bruisers, my trappers, my scratapult, and half of my giant. So I did not walk away from this one without a broken fever. So yeah, a lot of things went well in this game, and a lot of things went really bad in this game. My Scratapult really let me down, like it was trying to. I was really disappointed in it, and that's the shame because I used to really like it. My trappers were doing amazing, and that's not a surprise. The giant, I didn't realize how much I missed the giant. Really, really pleased with his performance. My mercenary veterans are excellent as always. Turns out that they can disassemble a steam tank in literally one turn. And of course, Elizabeth kicked ass, took names, and held the demigod friggin' captain on a Pegasus long enough to make him not take up any more points. So, really pleased with most of my army. My opponent had some stuff going well for him. His shooting was insane. Taking out my tribesmen, taking out my trappers, just shooting up my dour ones. I lost a lot of units to shooting. It was impressive, to say the least. What really saved me in this game, I think, was that he misfired a ton. The fact that his dice are in love with me is an advantage I was able to take full advantage of. Yeah. In the end, though, as always, this was a great game. This is a great opponent. You get the opportunity to play this guy, you should. And I'm really looking forward to our rematch, because I know he's going to bring a very hard list next time, and I'm looking forward to facing it. Real quick, want to give a thank you and a shout out to the guys and gals and everybody who's helped me and donated towards Patreon. Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, and Daniel Jolson. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very, very much. And it's actually already improved my hobby, because with the money that I've gotten through donations, I was able to purchase a new ogre, which I was very pleased with. I know a lot of people aren't thrilled with some of my model choices, especially the EoS models. So slowly but surely, I'm looking around, finding models that I like, and buying them in order to make them more savage or bestial, or however you want to look at it. And honestly, it just lets me spend more money at the hobby, and I enjoy that. So thank you guys. Thank you again. But that's going to do it for this battle report. Number 22 is officially in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.